Hello.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ubuntu on Air. My name is
Happy
Rhys Davis.
Thursday.
This is
Monica Ahans Madden, and we
Monica
are
Ayers Madden.
your Ubuntu community team. If you are tuning in afterwards, we do this every Thursday. We usually do it at 1600 UTC, except if it is, and this is the most complicated math, and I cannot get Google Calendar to recognize this, unless it's the week of the last Friday. And then we are at noon UTC to get some APAC times. So anyway, community news. I know we've had actually in about just about 2 weeks, as today is the 9th, we are that UbuCon Asia will be starting, and they have their schedule up. We will provide a link. This is going to be the first UbuCon Asia. We hope the first of many. The planning work, and we should also do a link to the Ubuntu on Air we did with the organizers from the Ubuntu Korea community. And so if you have the chance to go, we know that the time zone might be tough for the EMEA people. It's especially tough for those of you on the West Coast of the Americas. But if you get the chance to watch things, Ken Van Dyne is going to be the keynote speaker, our boss. And he's going to be talking about Flutter on Ubuntu and the Linux desktop. And so it's September 25th. And so we should definitely go and show support for our newest UbuCon. And I don't know about you, Rhys. I really want to go to one in person whenever they have it.
For sure. I think it's a really good excuse to travel wherever it is that they host it, if it's an in-person one, and it'll be a great time, yeah. Super exciting. We had a really good conversation with Young Bin and Ian on the on that office hours recording. I put the recording in the chat there so people can go watch it after this one, of course, because we're going to talk to our lovely guests soon. Oh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say you could try to watch them at the same time if you're one of those people who can listen to two things and actually understand them. But otherwise, no, just don't try it. It would be hard.
Those people are mutants. I love it. I can't do that. That's insane.
Yep. And we also this week, speaking of, we have Yannick in our Twitch chat, who was our newest Ubuntu on Air community host. He did the webcam's back. I just had to reboot Chrome. So Firefox is like, it won't let you restart without updating. And Chrome is just like, oh, hi, you have an update. You should do that. I'm just going to make things stop working, but it's very polite and quiet. So because on Tuesday, when I introduced Yannick for his newest community stream, which will be happening every other week. And so his first stream was this past Tuesday on setting up a PHP and Angular dev environment in Ubuntu. And then not this coming Tuesday, but Tuesday I am not good with dates. Tuesday the 21st, Yannick will be back with how to use that dev environment you've set up to create a web app. And so definitely go. I will find the link on our YouTube channel so you can go through and set up the environment, come back on the 21st, and Yannick will walk you through. And if you are, we haven't gotten to the Angular part yet. Oh, this is new. The blinking is new, and and this is something. This is running polychromatic, which is this is by Luke Horwell, who used to be part of the Ubuntu Mate team. This is an effect called Starlight. I just noticed it last week. Great job, open source. But yes,
for everyone who's not reading the YouTube chat, if you're in Twitch, Monica's referring to a message that we just got in the chat about her headset. It wasn't just a completely random outburst.
I mean, I really do like my headset, but yes, I'm not going to randomly talk about it. But what's even cooler, I got this headset because specifically it worked on Linux and is compatible with open source programs like Polychromatic. So, yes. But please watch Yannick's stream. And if you are interested if you have an idea for a regular stream that you would like to put together, please, we will send the link to that discourse post for the call for content. So far, we've had Rudra and we've had Yannick, and we would love to have more of you.
Absolutely.
I have totally derailed this with cat ears. Sorry.
That's okay. That's a good thing to derail with. A couple other things to mention. Today, we published a blog post about release parties for 2110. We know of a couple that are going on that hopefully people will be able to talk about in the discourse post that went up. But also, we put together a blog post of some best practices and hints and tips and tricks that some of the people at Canonical recommend and things that you could be doing. So hopefully there'll be a release party near you that you can go and attend. And I think, go ahead.
And also, and if not, we will certainly be publicizing any virtual parties that any of the OCOs will be putting together. And I think it would be incumbent on us to have a party. There was a very small one for Hirsute Hippo. I think we can go a little bit bigger for, okay, it's not an injury, but he's a lemur and he's close. So, Podcast Ubuntu Portugal says that they always do one. So
that's exciting. The other thing I think was mentioning that we mentioned last time is the membership process has been updated. There's been some discussion about it in various community channels and Reddit and so on. But I want to reiterate again that it's a new and hopefully easier process. So people watching this live or otherwise who have thought about becoming official Ubuntu members, there's a nice blog post up there that you can read through, and there's a new process you can go through. We've already had one person do that since the announcement, Merlin, who's on the Snapcrafters team. And I hope it's going to be real good.
And we've got one more coming up in October. So we're very excited to have, especially as someone who spent almost a day getting her GPG key set up, to have the option now to just have a button that you press. And if you still really love GPG keys, you can do that. The old ways are still there. These are just alternatives for those of us who aren't quite as tech savvy, but still contribute.
Totally. Very exciting. I think, okay. A little bit derailed because of the headphones, because of the injury. Teddy bears for the win, absolutely. But unless there's any other news that you can think of, Monica, shall we move on to our feature?
Let's move on.
Okay. Well, then, without further ado, I'll introduce people who have watched the Ubuntu on Air for a while will know her. So otherwise, I'll let her introduce herself. Welcome to Heather.
Hello.
Yay.
Hi.
Hello.
Yay.
It says that I'm Linux Flower, which is true on Twitter, but really I'm Ellsworth on like IRC and GitLab and GitHub and I don't know, all the things.
Okay.
So I run the Indabas, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
On the desktop team, and it's a fun thing we do every month. I really got to get on that for this month because I think it's going to be in like 2 weeks. So look for a discourse post announcing who's going to be there and start submitting your questions and such.
Coming to a discourse near you.
Cool. Yes, GNOME 41 will be in Impish, so you can just not ask that.
Get that out early. Make sure people know.
You know what? I don't think we had any GNOME 40 questions the last Indaba. And I have to say, really? Oh, good Lord.
There was one.
There was one. There's one every time. One. But I have to say, you did such a fantastic job with the last Indaba, and if you didn't watch it, and if you have ever printed anything from an Apple or from your Linux computer and want to hear a great talk with Till and Mike Sweet, you just did. And breaking down the printing stack, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I think it went really well. It was really cool to have like the guys that are like the fathers of cups on there that just know all the ins and outs, that just get so incredibly excited when talking about printing. Like, we need people like that, and their excitement is like infectious, I think.
It was a fun conversation with the Cups daddies, but we'll talk about the Indabas a bit more. But I wanna roll back a little bit first, and we'll get to that. And start with the same kind of questions that we ask everybody who comes on Ubuntu, and start with, I wonder if you could tell us a bit about how you got started with open source and Ubuntu.
Yeah. How did I get started? Well, I am not a computer scientist by trade. I'm a physicist. I did my bachelor's and my master's in physics, and I worked on high energy physics. I worked at CERN and helped find the Higgs, and that was really cool. But at the beginning of grad school, I got a laptop and I was like, I'm just done with Windows. I'm just all done. So let's just try this Ubuntu thing. It was 704. I'm just done. I'm just done. And so I took a night and I sat down and I installed it, and installed really fast. And the updates are really fast. And then it was just usable. And I was like, well, what do I do with the rest of my night? I don't know. I expected this to be a whole day thing. And I really liked it. And I don't know, I used Ubuntu for a little while. And then I found Debian and kind of fell in love with that community. And so I was on Debian for probably 10 years. And then I came back to Ubuntu. But in grad school, there were many late nights, writing my thesis, where I hated life. And I would just daydream about working on Ubuntu or working on Debian or something, and then kind of come back to reality and stay up the rest of the night and write my thesis, right? And then I wanted to work on open source. I guess I didn't really understand, how did companies make money on open source until I read Free as in Freedom. And then I read Cathedral and the Bazaar, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So then I was looking, I was passionate at that point. And that was 2015. So really only 6 years ago that I really fell in love with open source. I loved Linux before then, but just the philosophy of open source is really gets me now. And so I was looking for a team where I could be paid to work on open source, right? That's kind of what we all want. And I would go from team to team, to company, and be yeah, we do open source, but really they just take from open source and then modify it and keep their changes behind unless somebody asks for them. It's that's not really what I wanted to do. And so I found my way here, and I feel really happy to be here. This is a little bit of a dream job. Working on the desktop team, it's a pretty small team. One of the things that surprised me when I got here is that, Ubuntu desktop is just managed by a dozen people. That's it. That's such a team of rock stars. And I am really lucky to be kind of among them and learn from them. And they're all super nice. And
being one of the rock stars on the team, I hope that must be clear to everyone that Heather is one of the rock stars on the desktop team.
Yes,
exactly. So what is it, besides hosting the Indabas and doing a fantastic job at that, what is it that what are the usual things that you do on the desktop? But also, what are some of the most, you've been here for 2 years, I can tell by your Eoin Ermin shirt there.
This is the first thing you worked on?
And that is the Eoin Ermin shirt from Ubuntu France, which is awesome. And I can't wait to see what they'll do for their next one. But kind of what do you usually do on the desktop? But what's also some of those really random but totally interesting things that you never thought you would do that you've done while you've been here?
that I never thought that I would do. I never thought I would get so close to the archive. But it's always been a bit of a dream to be an Ubuntu developer and a Debian developer. And so my job includes like packaging, a lot of packaging, snap deb packaging. And I find deb packaging quite frustrating because it seems like there's a million ways to do it. And there's some tribal process knowledge that I'm still discovering. But if maybe I can like help improve the documentation so that like when new people come in, it's less tribal. Process is always like a fine balance. You don't want to have too much of it, but you also need some of it. It seems like everybody that's kind of been involved in like the archive maintenance is just really, they just understand how it all works. And I still feel like I'm still finding my feet there, but everybody's been very helpful. So my day-to-day is like, work on the LibreOffice Snap, maybe do some LibreOffice Deb testing. If I've got like other PRs that I've opened a couple weeks ago that I need to chase down, or other like GNOME snaps, like we're trying to bring those up to be with like the new GNOME 338 extension. We're working on a new extension for like the next GNOME, but just making sure that those are all kind of up to date and moving things to GitHub as well to try and get more community involvement. Like, Launchpad is maybe not the most easiest tool for everybody to use. That's, So trying to do as much stuff in GitHub as possible. And I really like working with the community team. Like, I like working with community. I don't like Twitter, so I'm like hardly ever on there because as soon as I go on there, I lose just half my day. I don't even know where it went. So I can't even. Like that's what I do. I do a lot of things here and there, just around. I help out with some manager stuff and
a lot of things here and there. That sounds like a lot of things just as a Canonical person, but I want to ask as well, if you were to take your Canonical hat off, you've already mentioned that you're a big fan of Ubuntu and you work on, you're big do Debian, and you mentioned GNOME and things like this. What other sort of open source things or projects are you involved in that you enjoy?
Well, mostly I've just done kind of the Canonical thing. Like I did go and help out with Cherry Tree for a little while. I keep meaning to find time to go back to it. So that's one of my favorite applications that I snapped, but it needs some love. I have some snaps that just kind of need some love. And let's see what other open source projects. I mean, I was thinking about hosting a release party, but the COVID is raging. So now I'm thinking about doing maybe like a virtual release party. As much as I miss seeing people in person. I have non-work hobbies that I do. I have a daughter that takes up half of my time.
Nice.
Yeah, kids. I mean, honestly, they take care of themselves, don't they?
No. I just potty trained her, so a little bit more.
There you go. Just teach her to make some food and she'll be fine. I am kidding. I'm totally kidding.
She's going to be raised on open source. And she was saying this morning how she doesn't speak English. She speaks Ubuntu. And I was like, all right, sure. That's great. She can say Ubuntu pretty well.
Oh, my.
But she totally knows. Like if I'm like, hey, say Ubuntu. And she's like, Windows. It's like, no. Who taught you that? Don't say that. That's the wrong answer.
No, what if she's talking about Windows subsystem for Linux? So you just have to teach her the rest of that.
Yeah, okay, sure. I'll teach her to come back with WSL.
Okay. That's because when she goes into school and they have like computer classes and they make her use Windows, then she can just install WSL and be away with it. It'd be great.
I know. Yeah. Well, we'll get her there for sure. I can't wait. I've got some Raspberry Pis. I've got a Cutie Pie coming in the mail. That's like a little Raspberry Pi tablet. So, because she's always dropping my tablet, so let's get her own.
Yeah, get her own and get her a really good case for it. It's funny, I just went and got a new phone, and they have all the drop rating and like military tested. It's like, no. What they need to do is give those phones and cases to a bunch of hopped up 2-year-olds and have them try to destroy it. And if it can survive that, it'll be fine.
Yeah, so she's actually done a lot of testing on my touch screen on my laptop, and we have found issues. Like, I should let Marco borrow her for a day because he does all of the touch integration.
Here, I found you a tester.
There you go.
I don't know how we skirt around the labor. Oh no! See, we don't make we call her a contributor, not an employee.
Contributor.
Exactly.
She could be the youngest community contributor.
Yeah. The community kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild red hair, ready to find the bugs.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. And I know just from kind of hanging in the Ubuntu communities that we hang out in, it's great to hear. And we're seeing some people who are talking about their kids who use their parents' Ubuntu setup and kind of know how to do some things. Like Yannick is saying that that his daughter knows how to change the wallpaper to some Frozen and Lego Friends. And so it's great to see people who are getting started, like, and that's what they know from when they're young. So it's very cool.
I can't wait. I feel like I'm constantly trying to rush her to be like, let's play music together and let's do computer things together. Oh wait, yeah, you're only like not 3 yet. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like I did that with my nephews too. It was just like, oh, let's get them all the scientific toys, and they're like 2, and then I see the box, and it's like, oh, for ages 6 and up. It's like, oh, yeah, you still have a bit of growing left. So
yeah, and board games. Like, I love board games. I can't wait to like train her to play with me, basically.
Yeah.
Train her to play with me. You're growing.
Yeah, like teach her the board game, but I'm also like, I'm not going to let you win. This is the way life is. Come on, let's be competitive together.
Oh, wow.
Maybe I had to let her win a little bit at the beginning. I did get a new game called Hoot Owl Hoot, which is for age 3 and up. So we were going to try that this weekend and see.
Nice.
Maybe
that sounds
first board game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do community things outside of Linux too. Like I take my ukulele to her class and like we play sing-along songs together.
Nice.
I say her class, like I mean daycare. And kids love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not quite in school yet. Kind of.
Her physics class, she's taking high energy physics as well. That's good. Yeah. Okay.
That just reminds me of that scene from Men in Black, though.
Which one?
It's like, the one where like he has to find what's kind of out of place, and for him it's the girl with the high energy physics book with a bunch of monsters.
Oh yeah, and like the shooting scene.
Yeah.
That's cool. But you also, I know you've been at a few events and things, and you've been to Grodek, and you were at the KD Academy thing,
I never
right?
went to Academy, but I went to Loss. And I helped organize Loss.
Oh, was that the one in Barcelona?
Yeah, that was the last in-person one was in Barcelona. And the time before that, it was in Denver? There was a Denver one.
Nice.
Maybe there was one between Denver and Barcelona. I forget. I haven't left the state of Colorado in like over a year and a half, you guys. It's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
I used to always like have that next trip to like look forward to. So like, I don't know.
We really
traveling needs to happen.
But speaking of events in Colorado and community events, I got to go out to Colorado and meet Heather a few weeks back. We were both out for and I got my shirt, the Jupiter Broadcasting basically had a since Linux Fest Northwest hasn't happened. It didn't happen in 2020 or in 2021. It's like, well, we have an RV. Let's get on the road and we'll meet people. And my husband and I, this is when the numbers were a bit better, but we're like, okay, we're going to drive out to Kansas City, fly out to Kansas City, then drive to Denver. But Heather and I got to meet each other, and it was about what?
Real.
Mm-hmm. And we got to meet some other people who we've gotten to know over this past year and a half, because honestly, if it wasn't for these online communities have been really helpful for those of us who've been kind of, stuck in our houses for a year or so. And it was really great. And one of them just happens to be a co-worker, which is pretty dang cool. So
yeah, it was great to meet. And I think we took a really good picture together. Maybe we could tweet it out or something if you want.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's funny because Rhys saw it and he's like, oh, Monica, I thought you were taller. And I'm like,
I thought you were too. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, no.
But that's okay. It's great to meet people in person and, see you in HD.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the biggest thing when you meet people in person. For me, not a tall person, not a tall boy.
Weird.
That's because he's sitting down.
Weird. Yeah.
Well, we're also, city. Even when I stand up, I'm actually standing up right now.
I'm not tall either. I'm only 5'3", so Monica, you're much shorter.
Okay,
that's okay though.
I'm 5'1" and a half on a good day, so I just need taller shoes. The funny thing is, I hate heels. I hate them.
Agreed.
But
some cute heels are cute. But I don't have a place.
I love some good cute heels as well. That's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's just.
I used to wear summer dresses and heels all the time when I had an office job.
Because
I had a friend that we kind of did that together, and I miss that. Now I've got all these dresses and nowhere to wear them.
Wear them to meetings. Why not? I mean, I say that as I'm wearing a t-shirt, but it was mostly for this shirt. So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just easy in the morning to throw on whatever Linux shirt is on top.
Yeah.
We do need one of the things, and there is Leia, who we had on 2 weeks ago 2 or 3 weeks ago for the ethical marketing stream. I found that she also does needlework and embroidery too. But I think that there would be, especially with all the animals that we have, fun ways to do an embroidered dress or blouse or something like that. So I was thinking that would be really cool to do in time for the open source summit. That thing's coming up in 2 weeks. I'm like, nope. So I'm just going to find a pretty kind of casual orange dress and going to go for there. So, but it's also my webcam the thing just started working yesterday and I still have not learned Martin Impress is the kind of expert of camera placement, and he's got 50 gazillion cameras, and he's got the mirrorless ones. And so really, eventually I'll have an awesome setup that makes me look tall in my seat and blah, blah, blah. But it really is kind of whenever I do this on my laptop, oh God, the ThinkPad cameras are not great at all. I love my ThinkPad. I do not love the camera. So, yeah.
I have a nice webcam, but the sound will go through it, and it's Pulse Audio. I can't rejigger it to do sound in a fancy microphone and video in there.
Really?
So you get my ThinkPad camera and my ThinkPad microphone. Isn't that fun?
Oh, actually, your ThinkPad has a better camera than mine. Oh.
The T590. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
I did just wipe it right before I joined, so maybe it's less smudgy.
That's
maybe I just...
Yep. It's basically in 3D now. That's great.
Yeah. Right.
Well,
clean the lens. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, you all laugh, but my old webcam, which never really kind of worked that great. When I got this one, I'm like, oh, I'll give it to my husband. And as I took it off my camera, I realized that that little thin layer of clear film was still over the lens.
Still there. Oh my god!
And I'm just like, whoops. It's like, here, have it. All yours.
Nice.
What a time. Yeah. What a great time.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So, that's a bit of a digression, but moving back to what Heather and things have been going on. When we started Ubuntu on Air, one of the first things we did was the first desktop Indaba, where you were a participant and things were going on. And after that, we invited you because you were interested in community things and you were interested in, and you enjoyed the stream, to sort of run and host the Indabas. Maybe could you talk a little bit about that and where it all came from and why you put your hand up?
Totally. Yeah. So we used to have like an IRC team meeting every Tuesday. That was kind of for the community, I think, it was logged and stuff, but we really talked about like bugs that we needed to look at. It was necessary but bland, I guess. And there had been some discussion within the team of like, we should do something that's, that people pay attention to maybe a little bit more. But we still need this process of like talking about these things we got to work on, right? So that kind of moved out to the side. We stopped the IRC team meeting and we decided to do the Ubuntu on Air. And a bunch of people came and showed a lot of enthusiasm. And so it's kind of like morphed into this thing. I mean, it started out, it was just like, let's get some, canonical people together and maybe a community person if we can squeeze that, right? And so we did. And then after that, it was like, okay, this is fun. Like, Ken's really busy. I'm happy to take over. And now it's kind of like evolved into this thing where it's like me and, usually Rhys is in the background and Monica is there, and we'll have like another desktop team member or canonical person there, and then a community person. And we try and make it a theme. So like last week was printing themed, right? We had Till, who's a desktop team member, and then Mike Sweet, who's not necessarily like an Ubuntu community member, but he's from
the wider community.
Right, the wider community, right? So it doesn't have to be just like the Ubuntu community. So I need to come up with some kind of theme for the end of September. We'll find something, but yeah, it kind of depends.
If anyone has any ideas, put them in the chat or in the comments section.
What would you like in the desktop Indaba for 2 weeks?
Yeah. So yeah, I could try and chase down like community members to come and talk about their fun and exciting things.
Note, we say metaphorically chase down community members. Heather will not literally chase after you. She would probably catch you though. She's been trained.
I'm not a very fast runner, but give it a good old college try.
You've got your treadmill desk, and yeah,
I have a treadmill. You guys can't see it because I'm standing on this like pad thing, but I guess I do chase after a toddler a lot. So yeah, maybe my chasing skills are being discounted a bit.
But chasing things aside, I think it's a really good little monthly installment, especially for the channel with the things going on. And you've had people like you've done things about GNOME. You had Martin and someone else on to talk about other things, and it's just a nice place for the community to sort of interface with the desktop team and beyond. Which I think was the intention, right? Is that what you want to get out of it? What do you see the future being?
Yeah, well, personally, I really wanted there to be like some sort of platform where anybody that has Ubuntu questions can come and ask them. If you come, it's an hour, live stream just like this, and you can join the chat, or you can pre-submit questions in the discourse post or on Ubuntu Hideout or just anywhere you can find us. Say, hey, I've got a question to ask. And then, as a new Ubuntu member, I say member, but a new user to Linux, like I would often come up with questions, but never really feel like I had a good place to go ask them. And so the empathetic side in me wants to provide some sort of comfortable, safe space where anybody can come and ask any questions. Now, we're not going to do like a live debugging session, right? We might like say, okay, we'll go file a bug or a discourse post, or let's take it offline or something if people need like serious support. But yeah, I mean, maybe people have had burning questions about printing the whole time, and they had an opportunity to go and ask those.
Yeah.
And even like afterwards, so if somebody can't join the live stream, they can also go post their question in discourse or somewhere.
Oh.
And we can find, we can get the answer to the person. So it provides not just a platform to like interface with us, but also a pipeline. So you can ask things later. You have a direct connection to Canonical Ubuntu people that can, either answer the question or get it answered.
Yeah. This was an interesting idea we had from Danny. Maybe it would be a nifty idea to promote the Indaba in the new desktop installer so that new users know straight away about it rather than having to discover it via alternative channels.
Yeah, totally. That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. So I can talk with Ken about that. Maybe we can do some sort of installer thing like at the end of this month or next month or something.
Yeah, and it seems
people at the Ubuntu on Air URL even with the into the Indaba playlist. That could work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danny,
great
thank
suggestion.
you. That's awesome. That's very awesome.
I'm gonna make a note of that over here. You guys carry on.
Please do.
Yeah, but I think that the Indabas are a reflection of something that you've been a part of, which is trying to have kind of more open lines of communication and more collaboration between Canonical and the volunteer community. Because you've been also part of this rebooters group that is trying to work on, having these things be habit. And so how long have you kind of been wanting to do these kinds of things, or why are they important to you?
Yeah, I can totally answer that. Kind of forever, because
you've got 23 minutes. That's fine.
Okay. I mean, I came from physics, which is very different from computer science. And I mean, it shouldn't be, but it is. And I didn't have that fundamental knowledge. I never took a computer science class. And so I had a lot to learn and I had a lot of questions, and I had nobody willing to help. So I feel like I struggled a lot in my early days as being a software engineer. So I got in the habit of just taking a ton of notes for myself, like how to use this thing that I've never heard about. Let me just write down all the steps, and that way I can forget about this and come back 6 months later and pick it right back up if I need to. So I kind of got into documentation for myself. And then also, if there were other people that were going to be joining the company or the team that I was on at the time, I want to give them a leg up. I don't want them to feel disparaged like I did, right? So if I can do something to help. Also, when I wrote my thesis, it felt so good to just write it down and I don't have to remember it anymore. And so I really enjoyed that. Most people that write their thesis or dissertation are just I hate this, it's the worst. But I really liked organizing my thoughts there. I don't know that anybody read it besides my advisor, but that's okay. I have to.
I think that's the majority of theses out there, right? That's
yeah.
Theses, or would it be thesis?
Theses.
Theses.
That kind of sounds like an infection.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So I actually, before Canonical, I worked at Purism. I was hired as a documentation engineer, which was a dream job. So I joined. And it was okay, we have to write all of this developer documentation, so you're going to work with the developers to write that. So I did that, and it was a lot of fun. And then I kind of became a manager and didn't like that. And, things kind of got weird, and I came over to Canonical, but still have this innate love of documentation. but I feel like there's less time to do it, but I do love doing it. So, so documentation and like community engagement, setting it up. So like at Purism, I set up like the community infrastructure there. I don't necessarily feel like it's needed for me to be in all the community channels and like engage with everybody constantly, because I just don't have like that kind of time. But if we can have that kind of platform, that pipeline, you know, for people to be able to engage easily, not necessarily just with me, but with other people that also kind of want to help foster that. Then I love that.
What was that platform at your last name? What was the platform that you set up?
Oh, well, so like on Matrix, so we used Matrix and Purism, and so I I set up like the different Matrix channels and the bridges to IRC, which were pretty flaky, and then like I wrote all the documentation in Sphinx, kind of using like a read the docs theme there. That was nice. Yeah, so when I say platform, like I really mean like a generic, just a place that people can go to engage if they want. And so like I think at Canonical, it's really nice that we have like the video stream, because I think a lot of people like me are a visual person, and I like to put like a face to a name. So this is one place you could do it. And I think drumming up like discourse posts and trying to get people there. And IRC too. Now I know IRC is not like the most friendly for everybody, but I'm happy to help somebody set up their IRC. Like I just redid my whole like WeChat setup the other day and saved off all my commands so that I can just copy paste it next time. So
nice. Yeah, and thankfully we've got some really great people who have set up IRC to Telegram bridges for things like the Ubuntu testers, where we really do want to have people in those different places to be able to talk to each other. And that's actually something that Thomas Ward does. And then the Ubuntu Community Fund basically supports the server space. So he's not having to do this on his home equipment. So, and it's just, I think that's this big thing of, I know that making a change from one communication to another is really hard. And right now, I think making sure that places are bridged as much as we possibly can, so everyone at least can be in on the same conversation, is kind of the best thing to do until you decide to make any kind of official changes. And that's something that our community would decide. So, and that's something that we would go with whatever the community decided. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
Any like people don't have to use IRC to get in contact with us, I think is kind of my point. And I'm happy. Like I wish that when I was a new Ubuntu user at 7.04 that this existed, like this Ubuntu on air and the discourse, and like I wish that all existed. I think it was just like the IRC, or at least that's what I found. And then like when I did join the desktop IRC, it was like sporadic, and you don't know, is that where I'm supposed to go for support? Or because people often kind of ignore you if you just join a new channel, ask a question, kind of goes unanswered for a bit.
It's that sort of authoritative, almost signposting of places to go, so that you know where the right place to go is, and then having things like this where there's stuff going on. So even if it's not the right place, you can always just sort of jump in and say, "Oh, is this the right place for this? Should I go over here?" And then you've got folks like us who are super happy to point people in the right directions.
Yeah, Rhys, if you had been writing blog posts back then, I would have been reading them.
Good. There we go. Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
Yeah. But I think that, kind of seeing us as kind of almost like navigators, or to set up hubs where we kind of just put in one place kind of all of these different resources where people can go. Because I think, especially with a community that's as old and established as ours, is that people get very comfortable where they c- communicate and talk, and sometimes it can be hard to kind of change that. And so I think that as long as we can just work on kind of strengthening those community ties and have it so that we can have, we have IRC channels, but we also have things like an unofficial discourse with the Ubuntu Hideout that is extremely vibrant and active, and have those places know about each other and able to engage and do things together. That's it seems like that's a more doable goal and maybe a more meaningful one.
Yeah, and anybody that is interested in like fostering community can, or if you're an old timer that really doesn't care, then you don't have to. Like I think that the community needs to be adaptive to be able to satisfy those old timers that are set in their ways, right? Which is fine. And the noobs that have noob questions. And to be like welcoming for everybody. I think that's the challenge that we're trying to solve with all of these different facets. And I think we're doing a pretty good job, really. And there's a lot of cool things like still planned with the community rebooters team too.
Totally, lots of things planned, and especially I think that's what makes the Indaba so special, in my opinion, is because the Ubuntu desktop is far and beyond the most popular thing that Ubuntu has and does. Right? It's popular. It's successful. People know about it. And even if you're just someone who's just discovered Linux or just discovered Ubuntu, you think, oh, okay, what's this Ubuntu desktop thing? And it's really important, I think, for communities that you find somewhere you can begin, something you can interface with to learn what's going on. And I think the Indaba is a really, really, really good place for that. Even if you're not talking about new person stuff every time or anything like that, you can see that there's something alive here, there's a human behind it. So maybe this is somewhere I can be too.
Yeah. That's nice. I'm glad that comes across.
It definitely does.
So eventually, I'm gonna write a little theme song for the Ubuntu on Air.
Yes,
haven't done it yet. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. But yeah, because I play the ukulele, and I think Rhys does too.
I think a duet should happen.
We need to teach Monica the ukulele. We could have a
little ukulele band. Little ukulele trio. Pretty cool.
Ubuntu lele.
Ukulele.
Oh, wow. It's a good thing we don't have to name any new flavors.
Or is it?
You could
yeah, exactly. Or is it? We're available for anyone who wants us to name things. Just drop me a line. Our rate is
we're cheap. Don't worry.
Right.
Google Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
really cool.
It's pretty amazing. Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. All the OG George Formby ukulele songs. Amazing. Great times.
That's cool. Yeah. I listen to like Jake Shimabukuro a lot. He's like pretty good with his ukulele and he goes touring, and I was going to see him, but then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
But so you said you're thinking about writing a theme for this. Have you got any ideas for the kind of thing it's going to be? I know you like a particular kind of ukulele music.
I do. I tend to play like classical music. So like Baroque and Renaissance, some Irish jigs as well. Those are hard because I try and play them really fast. But I'm a big fan of like metal, and so I think it kind of comes into the ukulele because I like to try and go as fast as I can. So that's fun. So Yeah, I don't know, a jingle. I think I'm just going to try and write a jingle, which is
Nice.
hard. Like,
Yeah.
kind of like when I had my
People get
daughter, and
paid
I was
for
like,
that
oh, I
stuff.
got to name this person. Like, I got to
Yeah.
put a name on this person. It's going to be stuck with them for a long time. Like, that's a lot of pressure. So now it's like, same kind of thing. I got to come up with a jingle.
Yeah.
But I think it would be fun if we had one.
It'll live on the YouTube channel forever once you've done it. So.
Oh, that sounds terrifying. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Forever.
You're very welcome.
Well, Yannick did go, and I think I can't remember what program he used, but he did a little mock-up with like an almost kind of sitcom-y type intro to the Ubuntu community office hours. And so just saying, if you find that video, or Yannick, if you link that, then that could be, you could just use that as inspiration.
Yeah. Give me your muse. That would be lovely.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great.
We're having some really fun discussion in the chats of metal ukulele and yeah.
Oh yeah. So so I'm also like a big fan of knitting, and I found out that in Finland, I think it's Finland, they have a metal knitting festival. So you're in a band, you're on stage, you have to enjoy the metal as you're knitting quickly.
That's awesome.
Headbanging and really just loving it. And I would really like to go.
Fantastic.
Those are my people.
Does that work? Do they just end up with normal knitted things, or are they like really heavy metal?
It's like a scarf. It's not like a fancy shirt or anything. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, because you wouldn't pick like a super intricate pattern, but knitting it's great. I also knit, and we should, oh my gosh. It would be fun. There are some knitted little animal patterns, but I'm more a scarf person because they're easy. So
yeah, I'll make anything. I'll make blankets, hats, gloves, slippers.
Nice. Yeah, there was talk on I think one of these things of knitting like Fair Isle Ubuntu ugly sweaters to bring to FOSDEM.
That would be great, but I think people don't realize how much time.
Yeah, we'd have to find we'd outsource those because sweaters are, it's a lot of time.
Right. So the reason I learned how to knit is because on Reddit I saw a pattern for a Lord of the Rings scarf, and I was like, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I'm super nerd. I'm gonna have to learn how to knit so I can make my own. And then people would be like, oh, that's amazing. Can you make me one? It's like, no, unless you're going to pay me a lot.
You know what? But it's so great because I think I had this chat with someone else too about how kind of crafting and open source, the ethos kind of overlaps.
Totally.
So,
I would like to make an Ubuntu hat, maybe make enough for the team. Like one day when we go to a sprint, I could pass it out.
Okay. Ubuntu hat,
or just one big Ubuntu hat that everyone can share. Everyone's in this.
Hat. It's the team get along hat.
Oh my gosh! And then one person has lice, and then here we go.
Yeah.
That would be awful. But no, you're right. And Ubuntu hat would be doable.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have problems with head sizes. Like I have a very small head, so I have to wear toddler hats.
I have a very big head.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think other people on the team too kind of have a big head, literally, not figuratively. And so it would be nice, to make hats for people that fit. I don't know. One day. Yep. I don't knit in the summer because I'm out hiking all the time and doing, I don't know, gardening and stuff.
Outdoorsy things. But in winter, it's a great thing.
Winter is coming.
Some indoorsy things.
Not
Danny
here.
Danny comes in with another great fact that the Olympian Tom Daley, the British Olympian diver, he knits between dives. He'll go to the Olympic diving board, do a big old dive, get out and just do some knitting.
It's so calming. At the end of the day, to sit down and watch some Star Trek and knit is just a perfect ending to a day.
Yeah.
Just like calm down. I used to take knitting to my meetings at HP because I had like 15, 20 hours of meetings a week. And so it was a little bit of a protest, but it was also like,
but
if I have my laptop, I'm checking email, I'm not listening. But if I'm just knitting something, then I can pay attention. And then every week it was like, who wants a hat? I got a hat this week's meeting.
Yeah. Oh my God, you all, there are so many Star Trek fans who knit because right here. Yeah, and my godmother who taught me to knit is a total Trekkie, and happy belated Star Trek Day, everybody, because that was yesterday.
Oh,
so
why?
Yeah.
Why was it yesterday? What's special about September 8th?
Maybe it's when the original Star Trek premiered. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah. So there were some.
Can you imagine if you had to knit like this? You could only knit like this.
Oh, that would be awkward. But yes, but Heather, Yannick has a podcast called Tea Earl Grey Hot, and they just did. They finished their review yesterday of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and it made me reassess my thoughts towards it.
Are we talking about the original one?
The original one, the old school 1970s one with V'ger.
I loved those. So I've seen all the Star Treks except for, so I kind of cycle through them every few years. But I only watched Enterprise once, and I'm not doing that again.
I'm with you there.
I wasn't a fan of that.
Me neither. Yeah.
Nope.
Rhys is
and
like,
when TNG ends and then I go to Deep Space Nine, it's like, oh, TNG was so good.
It was.
I mean, Deep Space Nine is fine.
I watched all of the old movies, and I've seen some of the original series, but TNG is the only one that I've seen right the way through. You know.
Mm-hmm.
The original series, like, they have like 5 different plot lines, so it's always been like a game for me to. Like, how quick into the episode can you determine if this is going to be a Kirk episode, or like, what is he just going to be fighting a bunch of aliens where you can see their tennis shoes, or like, what's going on?
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, but you should talk to Yannick, and because you would be a brilliant. You'd be a brilliant guest on his show. He also did put a link that is the link to the video that he made for the Ubuntu on Air when he was playing with DaVinci Resolve.
That's awesome. Can you save those links off for me? Because I'm not in the
Ubuntu
chat. Ubuntu chat? No, YouTube chat.
YouTube chat. Twitch chat. I think we can get the link.
Yeah. Let me see if I can move that.
It's okay. We can get it off Yannick separately. That's fine.
We can get it. I have 50 gazillion ways to get in touch with Yannick, so it's all good.
Okay.
That'll be the thing you can try and fit your jingle to. Maybe that'll help. Maybe if you've got a little visual.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, you could be like the person who doing like the movie scoring, but it'll just be you and your ukulele.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
That sounds
good. We enable some great ideas here during this hour. Just saying.
I would be happy to play you a song before we go, if you would like.
Yes,
we would like.
Please.
Because I happen to have my ukulele right here.
Well, then go
here's
get it.
What I made earlier. Oops. Okay. What are we listening to? What have we got going on here?
Well, whenever I play, I tend to start out with like a warm-up song, you're gonna get my warm-up song because this is the one I have memorized, and it's Waltzing Matilda. So it's like kind of I don't even know how I got on this, but I definitely love the Waltzing Matilda on the uke. So
have you got your noise cancelling turned off for sure before you go?
Well, that was in the Google Meet. That was a Google Meet.
Okay, so it won't be here.
Can you guys hear this?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So then it probably works. It's a short song, just a tiny little ditty, and I'm not gonna sing. Like, that's not happening. You guys
hit it.
little nervous playing on like a live stream.
That was
Thank you.
awesome. Yes, we are a proper Twitch stream now. So
that was so wholesome. That was great.
That was awesome.
Thanks for letting me play for you guys.
Of course.
Thank you for playing on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a show. Thanks for playing on the show.
Yeah. It kind of is a show where we get to hang out with friends in our community and our coworkers and in chat, and it's really awesome. It's definitely one of the highlights of my week. So
that's great.
For
and
sure.
I love like coming and like watching and participating in the chat sometimes. Sometimes I get busy, but I love chatting with you too. This is really just like a continuation of our Rebooters meeting, but with clean language.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Not that I was, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you saying? We're all perfectly, we wouldn't use bad language, any of us. Never. Never. See, I have glowing things above my head, so I clearly can't be blamed for any of those things.
No. I wish I could turn the light on and be like, I got an idea.
That would be great. But you will certainly be welcome here anytime. So, yay.
Virtual hugs to everyone.
Virtual hugs.
And with that said, thank you for coming and joining us. We were starting to run out of time. Monica, is there anything we wanted to say before we...
There is a special thank you we want to give out to the 3 awesome creators of the Ubuntu podcast who posted on Twitter that they are going to be winding down. And just what you've done for our community is incredible. You made Ubuntu and Linux just accessible and open, and just you brought, I think, a whole group of people in to the into the fold and made them happy to be here. So thank you all so much. It's not going to be the same without you, and we are just so grateful for all the seasons that you did and all the curry weights. And if still, whenever we can get together in person, curry should totally be a thing. Just saying. But seriously,
what kind of curry? Like Penang curry or like Muslim curry?
Indian curry. So
yeah. If there's anyone listening live or otherwise who doesn't know what the Ubuntu podcast is or haven't heard it, there's still some episodes left, but there's troves of episodes where they just talk about the Linux things. Seasons worth. So if you haven't, go and say hi and have a listen. Even if they're closing down, they still had some great stuff over there. And,
so basically to Mark and Alan and Martin, thank you all so much. It was fantastic. But we still got some episodes left, and who knows?
Sweet. Well, on that note, thank you everyone listening in chat. Thank you everyone watching live. Thank you everyone watching not live, and thank you Heather for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been lovely, and we'll see everyone next time.
All right.